we are going to be building a complete web application from start to finish, an actual workable application. And the application we're going to build is a card game, a multiplayer card game. Now, there are obviously tons of card games out there. The one I've chosen is called Scopa. And the reason I've chosen this is because I'm not a huge card game player, but this is one of the few card games I know. It is an Italian card game, and since I have some Italian blood, I play this occasionally with some of my friends and relatives. So before we get into actually building our application, let me introduce you to the game itself. Now, an Italian card deck is not your standard card deck. There are a few different designs, of course, like there are with probably every different deck of cards, and this is just one example here. The main difference between a standard deck of playing cards and an Italian deck of playing cards is that there are only 40 cards instead of the usual 52. Each of the 4 suits has 10 cards from 1 to 10. Of course, 1 is usually called the ace, and using the English terminology, 8 is called the knight, 9 is called the queen, and 10 is called the king. But other than that, it's pretty similar to a standard deck of cards. Now, this deck here is a more traditional pattern. It does not have any numbers on it. Instead of actually showing numbers, you count the number of items on the card. So obviously this down here is an ace, 2, 3, 4. And the suits are down here at the bottom, clubs. Then the second one up here is cups, third one up is swords, and the last one is coins. And of course I am using the English terminology. There are proper Italian words for all of this, but we'll keep it as easy as possible and stick with the English terminology. So that is the deck of cards that we'll be playing with. Now, let me show you how an actual Scopa game goes. And to do that, I'm going to show you the final version of the application that we are going to build. So if you want to give this a try, you can go to scopa.meteor.com. As you probably know, Meteor allows you to deploy applications for testing to their own domain name. And so I've deployed this application to scopa.meteor.com. And this is the application we are going to build. If you don't have an account, you can sign up here. I'm going to go ahead and log into my account. So once you've logged in, you can see you have a list of the games you are currently playing and a list of your completed games on the left. Currently, I have not played any games. And on the right, you can see a list of other users that we can play with. Now, currently the only other user of this application is my brother David. And so once I click on his name here, you can see we have over on games here, a game with David started a few seconds ago. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. And you can see now we have a game. All right, so let me explain before we actually make a move how this works. Each player gets 3 cards at a time. As you can see, I have 3 cards down here. That's in my hand. Now on the table, there are 4 more cards, at least to begin with. On your turn, it's as simple as playing a card to match one of the cards that are currently on the table. And the way you match it is by matching the numbers. So for example, if I had a 3 in my hand and there was a 3 at the table, I use the 3 in the hand to take the 3 at the table, and then I'll just put that to the side in a pile of my own. And that pile will be listed down here under collected cards. Now, if you don't have any single card that matches, you can match with multiple cards. So for example, if I had a 6 in my hand, I could match these 2 3s. And I would take both those 3s to match to my 6 and put that down here in my collected cards pile. The rules are a little more complex than that, and we'll have to write code to match those rules. We'll discuss them a little more in depth when we get there. Right now, I actually can't make any matches. So Q here is a queen, that would be a 9, and these Ks are kings, of course, so those are 10s. And I can't match anything, so I'm going to have to discard a card. I'll discard an ace. All right, so now it's David's turn, and I will wait for him to go ahead and make his move. All right, you can see that he made his move, and it looks like he did match something because one of the kings is gone. So he didn't throw anything new up there. That means I still can't do anything, so I'll discard a 2. All right, you can see David's taken his turn. He took a few cards there. I still can't do anything, so I'll discard my queen. Now you'll notice I'm out of cards here. After David takes his turn, a round has been completed. We've each played 3 cards. And so from the deck, we are each dealt 3 more cards. Now the deck, of course, is not visible here, but in a normal game, that would just be sitting on the table. And each player is dealt 3 more cards. All right, so now I have a 9 here and a 7 and a 3. I still can't match anything. Now, this may seem like a problem in the game, but I've just been dealt a poor hand here, and that's all. So we'll go back and forth here a couple of times, and now I can finally make a match. As you can see, I've got a 7 in my hand, and there's a 3 and a 4 on the table. I'll click that 7, and now you can see down on my collected cards here, the 7 that I had is there, as well as the 3 and the 4. As I'm playing here, I'll explain to you that there are a couple of different ways you get a point when you're playing this game. First of all, a point is awarded to whichever player captures most cards. Then a point is awarded to whichever player collects the most cards from the coins suit. So the coin suit is most important. But even better than the coin suit is this specific card that I have in my hand right now, the 7 of coins, which is called the Settebello. This card is worth 1 point all by itself, and I'm actually going to get that point right now by using the 7 to collect the 2 and the 5. There's 1 point for the Settebello, then 1 point for whichever player collects most cards, 1 point for whichever player collects most coins, and then finally there's something called the Primera, which is the sum of the highest pointing cards from each of the 4 suits. And we'll discuss how that works later. Right now there's an interesting condition. I'll notice that the table is empty. I still have to just play a card out, and I'm going to go ahead and play my 5. There's one other way to get a point, and that is when you match all the cards that are currently on the table. So for example, right now you can see there's a queen and an ace, which together equal 10. If I had a king in my hand, I could play that and I would clear the table of all cards. That's called a scopa, and you get 1 point for every scopa that you make during the game. All right, and so the game is over, and as you can see, I lost. You can see we have a table here that explains the scoring. David got most cards. If you look at this list here, you can see these are the number of cards I got. And since there are 40 cards, and this is obviously less than 20, I really did not get most cards. I did not get most coins. However, I did get the 7 of coins, the Settebello, and so I get 1 point for that. However, David got Primera, and he also got 2 scopas. He cleared the table twice, and so he gets 2 points for that. And altogether, he gets 5 points, and I get 1 point. So, well, it's unfortunate that I lost the game. I think you can see exactly how this game works. Now, there are a few differences between the version we're playing here and the way you might play in real life. First of all, in real life, you can also play with 4 players. However, our version is just going to work with 2 players. The other difference is that in real life, you would repeat a round, like we just had here, until one player has 11 or more points. The version we're playing will just play a single round, and the winner will be the one with the highest number of points after a single round. Now, it's important to note that the whole state of the game is being kept on the server. For example, if I were to close this window and come back to the website another time, this game would still be exactly where it left off. David would be able to play his turn while I was away. I would be able to play my turn while he was away, and we could just both pick up a turn whenever we want to. If I go back to the home page here, you can see that his game is listed. You can see that this game is now listed under the completed games, and that it says that I lost the game, which is true. The other thing to note is we'll only be able to have 1 game at a time per user. So if I choose another player over here, I click David's name again, notice his name is now gone from the user list because I have a game in play with him. So I hope that looks interesting to you. We're going to go ahead and build this game over this series of screencasts. I also hope I did a good job of explaining the rules of the game to you. If not, you can read that Wikipedia page. I'll have a link to it underneath this screencast where you can learn more about the nuances of the game. Plus, I'm sure there are plenty of great tutorials on YouTube. All right, so if you're ready to get started, in the next screencast, we're going to set up our application.